Yo guys, Alfalfa here, and I just wanted to cover the 12.10 patch that's coming that's going to update the durability in the game and what you can play to kind of get ahead of the meta. So for those of you who don't know, 12.10 is going to be a massive durability update across the board for all champs. There's going to be massive system changes. Everyone's getting HP, armor, magic pen, towers are going up, all sorts of changes that we'll cover in this video and have the numbers for. Before we get in though, I want to give a little disclaimer and say that this is going to be prediction based. No one can tell what this change is going to bring. No one can tell you what's going to be the most OP in the game because actually nobody knows right now. Anyone who tells you and sells you on this is 100% going to be the most OP thing in the game is lying to you. With such a wide sweeping change like this, it's not predictable enough to tell you what's going to be the most OP because every champ is changing. However, people can predict what's going to be OP and tell you what they think is going to be OP, and that's what I'm going to do in this video towards the end after I've covered the numbers of the 12.10 update. So diving in, first of all champs are getting adjustment of 70 base HP. This is going to be the biggest early game change from levels 1 to 3, I believe. Riot are definitely going to achieve what they want and make fights more drawn out, especially early game with this change. The next change is health per level is going up by 14 on all champs. Overall, these changes just mean that champs are going to have way more HP now. JINX, for example, is going to go from having 560 base HP to 630. And at level 18, she's going to go from having 2023 HP to 2273 HP. I really think that conditioning and overgrowth are probably going to be the secondary runes that people start running on ADCs and basically everyone, just because the more HP you have and also because armor and magic resist are going up, but I'll go into that now. Armor per level is going up by 1.2 and magic resist per level is going up by 0.8. These are all the global champion changes. Champion healing is also going down by 10 to 28% and champion shielding is being reduced by 10%. This meaning champions like Soraka or Karma won't become just extremely meta because they are impossible to kill and make their teammates impossible to kill. So that's all the champion adjustments, but there is also system changes. Systems with healing are being reduced by 10 to 28% depending on the system. Systems with shielding are being reduced by 10%, so things such as overheal will be reduced by 10%. Although healing is getting a nerf, so is grievous wounds. Grievous wounds is going from 40% to 30% and enhanced is going from 60% to 50%. Percentage pen items are being reduced by 5 to 10%. I think this is a good change, so things like LDR won't just have insane value and have to be built every game. All 4 tiers of turret, outer, inner, inhibitor and nexus are all going up on AD. These damage increases can stop you from making dives and things like that later on in the game, so actually these changes are quite big, especially for stuff like nexus turrets. And finally, Baron is going to have more damage. So now that we've kind of seen the changes and the numbers, we're going to predict on like what is going to happen in these matchups and lanes. I can only predict on ADC really, but I've got my friend who is a master tier top laner to comment on the top lane changes. So I can only really comment on ADC and top, but I will kind of make generalized things about the game, so it might help you if you play another role. So in general, I believe the game is going to slow down and hyperscaling AD carries and characters who have a lot of damage are going to benefit from this the most. I really think consistent damage is going to be the king. I really think that burst damage is going to fall off, and for the first part of the patch, until they make any champion adjustments, I think it will be very weak. Games are going to go for longer, so people who scale are going to be overall higher win rate champs, because they have more time to get things like items, levels, etc. So moving on to what my friend actually said about top lane, I asked him if I could get his prediction for the top lane meta for a video, and he said, I don't think top lane will change all too much since everyone will benefit from it. Extended duelists are already on top, things like JINX, Aatrox, etc. I think Kayle will be an issue, Vayne top more of a problem, and Gangplank will fall off. Like, cheesier champs are going to have a harder time and weaker early game champs are going to be different. I asked him on his thoughts about conditioning and overgrowth gaining more value. He said conditioning maybe, but I don't really see it on a lot of champs taking overgrowth. I think conditioning might overtake bone plating if early level duelists become more obsolete, but I doubt that will happen. But maybe conditioning just becomes stronger, just gotta wait and see. So yeah, that's what my friend Bread said about the top lane meta. I'm gonna comment on ADC now, but just before that, thank you for helping me with that, by the way. I hope to make more shit with you in the future, but I don't want to say it in case we don't. But yeah, moving on to what I actually think will be meta in ADC. So what I've actually done is I've made a tier list, and this is my predictive tier list as to where champs will fall on 12.10. So I'm gonna do a quick rundown on each champ and why I've put them in that category. So starting off with Vayne, I think Vayne is gonna be the most OP champ in bot lane. That's my prediction because she has percentage health true damage, her durability is going up, and and her damage is going up. There's no downside to her. She's very good right now. I guess the only thing that could really go wrong is if range becomes a really big issue for her in lane, and just she can't really kill high range targets, which she does kind of struggle with right now, but I think the percentage health true damage will be worth playing Vayne and she'll just become the most OP. Kog'Maw is also S+, because I think that Kog'Maw's W is going to become really good. Obviously it's similar to Vayne W, but it's also got a timer, so it's not as good as Vayne, but I think the W value is going to be so high that it's going to be worth picking him. Maybe he belongs in S, but I think because of the fact that his W is so high percentage health damage, I think it might be worth playing him. The downside I can see is the fact that his W does deal magic damage and MR is going up. However, MR is nowhere near going up as much as armor. Therefore, I think Kog'Maw could be a very, very good pick. Moving on to S tier, I'm putting Ashe here because of the items that she can build and just because her utility is normally quite good. She's kind of slept on right now as OP. I think that all three of these champs, Vayne, Kog'Maw, and Ashe, can all build Blade of the Ruined King, which will also be a really good item in 12.10. But yeah, I think Ashe's range, her utility, and the fact that she has good item paths that I think will determine which champs are good or be a key factor in that. I think Kai'Sa would be good because she's not exactly bad right now. Kai'Sa deals so much damage late, like she can kill someone with just a Q. Getting a solo Q off is so destructive to the enemy team. I think she also has good items that she can build. She can build a mixture of AP and AD, which makes her very flexible. And overall, she's just a really high damage threat that's going to benefit from the durability buffs. She also does well in late game. Ezreal, I can just see as being OP if he starts going Divine Sunderer or something similar. He's just going to benefit overall from this. He had a buff earlier with his ult, and I just think that he's going to be strong regardless of the meta. Ezreal will always find a way to be at least S tier, whether it's by building Sunderer, by building Eclipse, or just being so tanky that no one can stop him. Like, I think that Ezreal will just find a way because he's so adaptable, similar to Kai'Sa. Twitch, I believe, will be OP because Twitch can also build Blade of the Ruined King, and Twitch is really good right now. His invis is obviously really good for solo queue. His win rate is always pretty high, especially people who one-trick him. They can just get so much value. He can snowball, and he scales really, really well into late game. Like, I just think that Twitch will be carry on being OP. So moving on to JINX, I think maybe I'm biased, but I think JINX will be S tier. Her damage is so crazy that she will just benefit from these durability buffs to the point where you can't stop her late game once she gets her 3 items in IE. So Lucian is S+ right now, but I think he's going to drop to A, similar to the same reason as Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn isn't the best, but both of these want to bully you in lane early, and I think both of these are going to struggle to do that with a durability increase on every champ. Like, you're just never going to be able to really kill someone or get them so low to the point where they have to back. I'm putting Tristana here because maybe she suffers the same problem as where she can't kill them, but Tristana does scale, so I think that Tristana doesn't fall to like D or C tier like she did before. So Aphelios is a bit of a wild cannon. Like, I just can't really tell, but I have a feeling that he's going to be A tier, similar to the same reason as like people who scale were just going to be stronger, and I don't think he's very strong right now, but I think he'll move up a couple of tiers. Veigar, I think, is going to be still strong in bot lane, but not as strong as the rest. He still scales, but you can he's got more options to avoid his damage, such as Zhonya's or GA, or just building hard MR because he'll have to counter it by building pen. What I will say is though, which is a positive for Veigar, if you get to a point, obviously still, if you get to a point in the game where Veigar's got a lot of stacks and he's far into his build, he does kind of become an unstoppable machine because you can't avoid all his damage if he's got enough stacks. Like Veigar V2, who is obviously the best Veigar, he builds a lot of defensive items on him, such as anathemas. And if he's building like overgrowth, conditioning, anathemas, he's going to have so much defensive stats that even if you dive him or whatever, he's going to gain so much damage from just his stacks to the point where it's going to be so difficult to counter him. Samira, I think, suffers the same problem as Caitlyn, Lucian, and Tristana, where she's not going to be able to gain a lead early and she's just going to fall off, I think. For someone so reliant on drain tanking as their playstyle, going things like Immortal Shield Bow and BT, which the best Samira in the world goes, it becomes kind of difficult when all those stats are being nerfed, the shields and the healing are down on lifesteal. Jhin, I think, is just going to suffer because not only is he now going to have a weaker early game where his 4th shot does loads of damage and it kind of fucks you up, but he's also doesn't scale as well. He's more utility reliant on late game, and also if everyone's tankier, he's just going to suffer more. Misfortune and Draven both suffer the same issue, where I think their early games are what they are picked for, and they are are both going to suffer because early game is going to be harder to pick kills and you're not going to scale as well as something like a JINX or a Twitch or a Vayne or a Kog'Maw. Sivir I've kind of put in this batch as well because Sivir does scale, but you're going to probably be building, like, I don't know anymore, because lethality Sivir was very strong, but crit Sivir is not very strong either. So even if she reverts back to crit, she's just not going to be very strong. Being compared to another crit scaler like JINX or Twitch or Tristana even, I think that Sivir's just going to be worse. Zeri I just don't think is going to be very good. She does benefit from these buffs, but I don't think it's enough to the point where it's going to make her strong again. Senna, I'm not sure, because ADC, she's very, very difficult to play because you never get any souls. And in support, she kind of griefs loads of comps, so it's kind of difficult to play around her. Varus, I just don't think is very good, and I don't think will really benefit from this, especially because his poke will just mean less because everybody's tankier. Xayah, I think, is missing an identity right now apart from CC, because her damage is no longer poke, which it was with Ares lethality Xayah. I almost called it Sivir there because it had such a similar playstyle to lethality Sivir, but yeah, I just don't think it's very strong. And Kalista, I just think this champ is pretty fucking trash. I can't see Kalista being strong. She relies on early game, kind of like early strong lanes, and I just don't see her being strong at the moment, especially if Ashe is strong or just someone with slows, because she just gets crippled. Like the champ, you can't play the champ into something that has a slow or a CC. So yeah, that's going to be my tier list predictions. Remember, these are only predictions on what I think is going to be strong. If you've got predictions, let me know in the comments, because I actually am very, very interested in what you guys think is going to be strong. I'm probably going to post this a couple days before the patch goes live, so it will be actually kind of good to see like how close my predictions were and how close your guys' predictions were. So yeah, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Drop a like if you like the video. Guess that kind of helps me. I'm trying to, you know, make this more entertaining and stuff, trying to improve. But yeah, drop a comment, follow, like, do that shit, click a next video, and if you're really cool, watch some more. I don't know. Cool. Thanks. Bye.